Jayashree Venkatraman. She's the principal and academic director of SNBP School in Pune. And she's a master trainer of CBSE, and she has got won many awards and accolades. I would like to mention maybe a few. Jayashree was declared as one of the best experiential principals by Macadamia Dubai. She was selected as one of the most effective principals out of 100 principals by all over the country by Alert Knowledge Services. And her presentation was acknowledged by Edu Excellence at IIT Delhi during the 5th Education Excellence Conclave. There are many such awards and accolades to her credit, but without taking much time, I hand over the stage to Jayashree for this today's webinar. And I know her as a wonderful human being and as a great friend. Over to you, Jayashree.
Thank you so much, Vijay ma'am. My humble pranams to everyone present here. Good evening and welcome to each and every one of you to the second webinar under NEP 2020 webinar series, being organized by Center for Educational Initiatives and Research Trust Global, CEIR. The National Education Policy, released almost 34 years after the last reform in 1986, has been the most discussed topic across the globe. Yeah, you heard it right, it is across the globe. Because India is the youngest country of the world with the average age of 29 years. Having said that, the workforce of the globe is getting nurtured in Indian schools. No wonder the National Education Policy aims at revolutionizing education so as to enable the young generation to get ready for the global reach. CEIR is a forum of versatile and experienced educators working in harmony to empower all stakeholders to raise the education sector in India to global standards. The 8 sessions of NEP webinar series are planned on every Tuesdays and Saturdays in the month of February with an objective to help schools implement NEP guidelines in their classrooms. Some of the best minds from the education sector will be leading these sessions. This is actually the brainchild of one of the veteran educationists of the country, a name reckoned in the field of education in Jamshedpur, which was actually her karma bhumi, Miss Vijayam Karta. She's a trustee vice chairperson of Kerala Public Schools, Jamshedpur. She's a zonal director of CEIR Jharkhand and the head of the core group planning the master series of NEP that shall get telecast this month. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being the catalyst for this event. I think let us give her a very, very big round of applause. We are honored to have Sri Rajiv Kumar Garg as the speaker of the day. We also have 2 panelists, Dr. V. Bindu, Principal, Hosur Public School, Tamil Nadu, Member, Board of Directors, CEIR, and Zonal Director, Ms. Kajal Chatija, who is the Executive Director of Gayatri School and Junior College. Mr. K.K. Shah Jahan sir, Chairman, National Public School, Kerala, and Member, Board of Directors, CEIR, will be giving the concluding remarks and proposing the vote of thanks. We are privileged to have the CEIR Board of Trustees, Zonal Directors, and Premier Members amongst us. On behalf of CEIR, I welcome everyone aboard to an exciting journey navigating through the best practices already followed by schools along the lines of NEP. Now about our dynamic speaker of the day. Shri Rajiv Kumar Garg is currently the principal at Datta Mege World Academy, Airoli, Navi Mumbai. He has been a super master trainer for CBSE master trainers for several topics. He has been declared as a district training coordinator for CBSE for Mumbai and Thane region. Sir is a renowned educationist from Mumbai and has made a considerable contribution as a founder principal of DAV Public School, Airoli. We are greatly indebted to have you on board, sir, as our speaker for the day. As you listen to the speaker, I request the participants to please mute their audios and keep the videos on. Share their questions on the chat box. Please note that those who wish to receive a certificate will have to attend a minimum of 5 webinars and also submit the feedback form post every attended session. Over to Rajiv Kumar Garg. Let us welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. My humble pranams and my sincere thanks and compliment to Center for Educational Initiatives and Research Global Trust for taking this initiative and bringing this awareness on national education policy. A document which has a great vision to develop an education system which is deeply rooted into Indian ethos, and the curriculum and the pedagogy is focusing on holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging development of the learners. This particular document has much to say in its stride. However, today's topic, we are going to keep focus on curriculum and pedagogy in school. As this particular document is talking about holistic development of the students through integrated approach, having an enjoyable and engaging classroom environment. So the total pedagogical structure has been changed. It is restructured to 5+3+3+4 design. I think many of you have already read this document and must have attended the workshops being conducted by CBSE and many other agencies. The curricular and the pedagogical structure of the school will be reconfigured to make responsive and relevant to the developmental needs and interests of the learners at different stages of their development corresponding to their age of 3 to 8 years, 8 to 11 years, 11 to 14 years, and 14 to 18 years respectively. I'll request the IT person to please keep the slides on. I'm there on the second slide as on now. So can you please, yeah, thank you very much. So please.
So you can just say next, I'll keep moving.
Yeah, sir. Definitely. Please, sir. So move to next slide. Yeah. So it is reconfigured to make the learner responsive and relevant according to their developmental needs and age appropriateness from 3 to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 14, and 14 to 18 years. Next. So if I look at it, and if I say the first is the foundational stage that is divided into 2 parts in the age group of 3 to 8 years. So first stage will be Anganwadis, that is, or preschool, then plus 2 years of pre-primary of primary education of grade 1 and 2. Now, if you look in this particular aspect, the curriculum and the pedagogical philosophy will remain flexible, multi-level, and will be on activity or play-based learning. On this particular topic, on 2nd of this month, Ms. Swati Popat has given a very, long deliberation, very elaborative, very exhaustive elaboration she has made on this particular aspect. What do we mean by flexible? Why it needs to be multi-level? Why it needs to be playway or activity-based learning? What are the processes involved, and why it is required at the early stages of learning. Moving from there, where our focus is our focus come on the preparatory stage, the grade 3 to 5 years, covering the age of 8 to 11 years. Here, carrying on the platform right from pre-primary level, building on the play, discovery and activity based pedagogical and curricular style of foundation stage. Here at this stage, some light textbooks will be introduced with an aspect of formal interactive classroom learning in order to lay a solid groundwork across the subjects, including reading, writing, and speaking. Listening skills happen at the foundational stage. Now here it will be reading, writing, speaking, physical education, art, language, science, and mathematics. These aspects will start coming in at this particular stage. Moving on from here to middle stage, grade 6 to 8, covering the age of 11 to 14 years, building on the pedagogical and the curricular style. Let's move ahead in the next slide. So moving on to this, the building on the pedagogical and curricular style of preparatory stage. Here, the subject teachers will be introduced for learning and discussions of more abstract concepts of each subject. Students will be ready, at this stage for sciences, mathematics, arts, social science, humanities. Experiential learning is going to play a major aspect here as a pedagogical, style. Exploration of relation amongst different subjects will be encouraged and emphasized despite introduction of more specialized subjects and subject teachers. So social science, mathematics, that will be introduced, and experiential learning with integrated approach between the subjects, that will be more exploratory in nature at this particular stage. Moving from here, the secondary stage, that is grade 9 to 12, again 2 phases, 9 to 10 and 11 to 12. Here, the age group will be covered from 14 to 18 years. So the building on the subject-oriented pedagogical and curricular style of the middle stage with greater depth, greater critical thinking style, greater flexibility, greater attention to aspiration, and the student choices of the subjects. The children will not be, will be kept in watertight compartments of, if you are taking science, then you need to have, physics, chemistry, biology, or physics, chemistry, mathematics kind of options. If a child is having, an interest towards accountancy along with physics, the child has the flexibility to choose the subjects accordingly. So the greater choices will be given to the students. In particular, the students would continue to have the options even exiting the grade 10 and re-entering in the next phase to pursue vocational or any other courses available in grade 11 and 12, including at a more specialized course. Suppose there is a school which is offering more vocational stream. The child would like to go for vocational stream. Child can exit the 10th class system from a particular school and can enter in this school for vocational stream. So these are a few, recommendations which are quite positive for the student development at right from foundation stage to secondary stage. And if you look at the curriculum and the pedagogical styles, you will find there will be a smooth flow right from pre-primary to higher secondary. So there is a smooth flow of the pedagogical styles. Now, if we talk about holistic development, because see, the NEP has greatly emphasized on the holistic development of the learner. And when we talk about holistic development of the learner, it is needless to say that it is the development, physical development, emotional development, spiritual development, and intellectual development of the learner. So what it is talking about, the document says that the aim of the education will not only be the cognitive development. So that means we are not talking about thinking, perceiving, and then problem solving. We are not talking about synthesizing. We are not talking about only the cognitive development of this. Rather, the focus will also be there on building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with key 21st century skills. So they will be able to work cohesively in collaboration. They will be able to think creatively. They will be able to handle the technology, right? So these kind of things, these kind of 21st century skills will also be imbibed in the students. With the quickly changing employment landscape, no more the children will be asked for only academic excellence. Rather, how the children are performing, how are they able to handle the problem solving approach, what kind of attitude are they having, so are they communicating properly, what kind of communication skills do they have. So this kind of employment, changing in employment landscape and global ecosystem, children need to learn how to learn rather than what to learn. So the focus in this document will be on how to learn. So the total curriculum and the pedagogical approach will remain on training the students how to learn rather than what to learn. Therefore, now when we're talking about giving the children an exposure how to learn, then the major thrust will be reducing the curriculum. Because if the curriculum will remain the same, then children will not be having that kind of exposure, that they will not be able to have that experience with the with the curriculum. So therefore, the curriculum will be reduced, the content will be reduced, so that children will be having and will be able to experiment with the content so that they will be able to think critically and their problem solving approach can be enhanced. How can they think creatively, and how do they perceive the content with a multidisciplinary approach? That will also be focused in the pedagogical style. The process for innovation, adaptation and absorption of new material in the changing environment, the children will be given apt opportunity in the new education policy. Next, let's move ahead because I have already covered it. So next, yes. So pedagogy must evolve. When we talk about holistic development of the students and we are talking about critical thinking, we are talking about multidisciplinary approach, we are talking about critically analyzing the things and problem solving approach, and we are talking about giving the children an exposure to learn how to learn, then definitely the pedagogy must evolve to make education more experiential in nature. Children should be able to experience the learning process. They should be able to experiment with the content. Therefore, it should be experiential, holistic, integrated approach. Now, when we talk about integrated approach, now there are two kinds of integration. We are talking about integration horizontally, we are talking about integration vertically. So what I'm teaching right now in standard 1, how is it going to impact me when I will be there in standard 4? or when I will be there in standard 10th. So how these kind of things are going to be there. So that kind of vertical integration will be there. Horizontally, how English is related to mathematics, how English is related to science or social science, that integration. So the integrated pedagogical approaches through art integration, sports integration will also be evolved in this particular document. Inquiry driven, children will be able to ask question. When we are talking about conceptual clarity, when we are talking about moving away from rote memorization, so definitely children will be given an opportunity to inquire, inquiry based learning. Remember, when a child is growing up right from the age of 3 years, 2 years, when the child is coming to the senses in the world and child starts observing the things around, child starts asking the question, what is this, what is this, what is this, and parents happily answer all those queries because the child is asking. Child is very inquisitive. Inquisitiveness, thy name is child is asking so many questions. However, as the child is growing in the school environment, we the teachers make the child shut up, sit down, this is none of your business, I know more than you, so don't ask these questions. So these kind of processes have taken the joy of learning away from the child. The child has lost its identity in the process. The child has lost its identity as well as the identity of the curriculum. Child could not relate itself with the content, and hence it is rote memorization of the processes which is happening. So inquiry driven pedagogical approaches will be coming. Discovery oriented, child will be allowed to discover. You trial and error method. You try, do some error, and then proceed ahead. The word has not developed, has not come to this stage without this trial and error method. Take any scientist, any mathematician, any person who has grown up, made many mistakes. We enjoy the flight in beautiful aeroplanes, but the plane could not come overnight. People have taken, those scientists have taken many trials and errors on that. We switch on the bulb and all of a sudden we have light in the room, but that has not come in one day. So discovery oriented, let the children be allowed to do trial and errors, understand the cause and effect processes, right? So learner centered, what children want to learn is more important rather than what teacher is knowing. हम सर्व ज्ञाता हैं, सर्व भगवान है, विष्णु है हम. That is not the process now. What my child would like to know is more important, and I, being the facilitator in this learning process, need to help my learner to understand the concept. So let it be discussion based. Children will be allowed to discuss with the student, with the with the teacher, and wherever these processes are there, it is not nothing new. Let me tell you, my dear friends, it is not nothing new which NEP is talking about. If you take the previous policies also, every policy has talked about it. However, the things remain teacher centric more. The schools, we have the schools who have taken that kind of advantage, where the discussion based learning process, learner centric approaches have remained, the children have blossomed, right? I have examples to quote, and if I take the examples, I must say that please go, those who are there in Pune or those who are there in adjoining Pune, go and visit SNBP school, right, where Jayashree ma'am is heading. See the processes, how the inquiry-based learning, how the learner-centric approaches, how discussion-based approaches, the teachers are engrossed in the learning process along with the students. Let's grow together. It's not that I have the full knowledge, but along with you, let me also learn, or let me freeze my learning more appropriately, more accurately. So there need to be flexibility in that, and of course the enjoyability automatically comes in the learning process. The curriculum must include the basic art, craft, humanities, games, sports, fitness, languages, literature, culture, values, in addition to science and mathematics. Only science and mathematics. Uh, when we got independence in 1947, uh, the Britishers took all the things with them. Before Britishers, uh, we had Mughals, right? So India, which was known for, in fact, not India, if I termed it Bharat, Bharat was known for all technological advancements, scientific progress. The education system was so strong that people used to come and study in our in our educational institutions. However, during this particular course, all the joys of learning taken away, because these people want more babus, more clerks to serve them rather than becoming an independent thinkers. So when they left, they took all the technology, all the things, all the growth of this Bharat with them. So the immediate concern was, how can we become Atmanirbhar? How can we become self-reliant? And to become self-reliant, we need to do lots and lots of work in the field of technology and science. Therefore, the thrust was made on science and technology at that particular time. So all the institutions which were framed after independence, whether it is University Grant Commission, whether it is NCERT, whether any organization, the thrust was were made towards development of science and mathematics. But now we are at a stage where we can say, yes, in many areas we are self-reliant. Hum atmanirbhar hain. So therefore we need to focus on the other areas of child's development, right? We need to see that the development of the country, development of the educational processes in other areas should also be there. Therefore, curriculum must include this basic art, craft, humanities, games, sports, fitnesses, and that will also enhance the capabilities of the learners. It's not that all the students will become scientists. It is not that all the students will become mathematician. There are students who can find out good career in the field of sports. Sachin Tendulkar, Kapil Dev, Virat Kohli. They have carved out. They have created a niche for them in their respective field. We have Sonal Mansingh in the field of or Pandit Birju Maharaj in the field of performing art. They have created a place for them in their respective field. There are lots and lots of careers available in them. So therefore, let the children become well-rounded, and let the children be given that kind of independence to choose what they want to be, rather than we impose our things on them. So education must build character and enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, caring, while at the same time preparing them for gainful and fulfilling employment. So the question is, every aspect of education comes to, earning, employment. So that is one of the aspects, but at the same time, the contentedness is not related to your employment. So therefore, you need to be, ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring. These kind of qualities, these kind of attributes help the child to bring contentedness in itself. They will find, a purpose in life. The purpose of life is not only earning, is not getting employment only. Purpose of life is different from that. So your school education will help them. Believe me, no college education is going to give this kind of processes. It is only the schools and the schools alone who orient the child towards building character, or talking about ethical practices, or having compassionate kind of attributes or caring attitude. So therefore, all these things are required when we talk about holistic development of the child. Next, please. Now, as I said, children need to experience the learning process. Therefore, hands-on learning, arts integration, sports integration education, storytelling-based pedagogy, these will be much in focus amongst others as standard pedagogy. So we have standard pedagogies that we are following for years, but now these are also being termed as art integrated. Now, so far, abhi tak, very less emphasis has been made on art. And when we talk about art education in the school, it remained confined to only graded subject. So right from teacher to parent to the child, art integration means, it's a fun time. You just to pass the time. Nobody has taken it as a serious thought that how art integration will help in building the mathematical ability, how the art integration will help in building the scientific temperament, how art integration will help in building the linguistic approaches. You are able to express yourself through art. Now, this policy is talking about art integration approaches cross curricular, in cross curriculum aspects. Storytelling, abhi tak storytelling was the part of only grandmother's lullabies. You need to get sleeping time. So sleeping time, so you catch hold of your granny and then you ask, and that too when you have a joint family culture. In the nuclear family culture, rather I called it nucleused family culture, where even parents have left the child to its own. So in the nucleused family culture, now there is no one to talk about storytelling. Who is going to teach all those stories to the child? Who is going to tell those stories to the child? Who is going to read those stories? And again, in the initial days, when the child starts its journey in the pre-primary level, parents are very excited. My child is going to learn, and child is going to take admission in the school. So their excitement level remains always high. So they take part in the education process of the child, and they teach, they tell stories, they try to find out the time to tell the stories. But as the child moves from preschool to first standard to third standard to higher standards, slowly all these storytelling, अरे बाबा समय नहीं है किसी के पास, मैं आपको स्टोरी सुनाऊं या खाना बनाऊं या फिर मैं अपना काम देखूं, all these things are backseat. So where is the time? So here in the school environment, the teacher, त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बंधुश्च सखा त्वमेव, आप ही माता हैं, आप ही पिता हैं, आप ही उसके बंधु हैं, आप ही उसके दोस्त हैं, आपने ही वो सब ड्यूटीज परफॉर्म करनी है. So your teaching learning process should integratedly embed storytelling processes so that the children learn. And it has been statistically and scientifically proved that through the process of storytelling, the children learn more. They are able to relate themselves with the real life situation. And when we talk about curriculum development, we are talking about conceptual development. Believe me, you have to have such kind of practices. A child is good in art. So art integration will help the child to build through the process of art any subject, whether it is mathematics, whether it is science, whether it is social science. So art education will be embedded in the classroom transaction, not only for creating joyful classrooms, but also imbibing the Indian ethos through integration of Indian art and culture. Believe me, Indian art and culture is most popular across worldwide. It has been most respected culture across the world. And through art integration in the teaching learning process, we are bringing those Indian ethos live. right? We have lots and lots of cultural programs. We have annual day program, we have 15 August program, but currently our Indian ethos, our culture remain confined to celebration of these days only. Why not every day we celebrate Indian ethos, Indian culture, Indian art through art integration, or in various subjects in the curriculum transaction. Next, please. Sports integration. There are students who are doing wonderful in sports and they are looking forward for their career in the field of sports. So sports make you work collaboratively, make you self-initiative driven, self-directed, self-disciplined, will enhance the teamwork, responsibility, and citizen. I myself is a player. And when I entered in this education sector almost 30 years back, the first thing I countered with from the parents or from my colleagues when the children used to go for play, नहीं बच्चों को खेलने नहीं देना है. You don't allow the children to play. ये खेलने जाता है ना तो ये पढ़ नहीं पाता. And my subject is mathematics. And right from the beginning, I have seen there is a fear factor for mathematics. Whereas mathematics is a subject where children should play with it. These are the numbers. But unfortunately, our education system has drifted away from that joyful learning to rote memorization, and it has created a fear factor in that. So, I saw parents cribbing, नहीं सर वो खेलने जाता है ना तो उसकी वजह से बच्चा होता नहीं है. And I took it as a challenge. I played with students and I showed them that when the children play, in fact, their agility enhances. They are, they can sit for longer hours as compared to a normal child for study. They work more appropriately in teams. They have that attitude to work collaboratively. Right, they become self-initiative driven kind of processes are involved. They feel themselves responsible. Only thing is you need to touch that particular point in a polite and firm way. You need to guide them that you are playing and how important academics is, right? And I have seen my children in DAV school who were 6th rank in national, they have the international ranking in below 50 ranks. They have scored 90%, 95%, even in 10th class and in 12th class. And, children, they have that kind of stamina. Only thing is you need to just guide them in a proper direction. Sports integration, learning will take place in the classroom transaction to adapt fitness as a lifelong attitude. They achieve related life skills. And, if you, many of you have adopted Fit India movement. So the same process have been adopted. Agar aap rahenge fit, to aapka dimag rahega fit, that says that, healthy body had a healthy mind. It is having a healthy mind. So healthy mind resides in a healthy body. Agar sharir hi aapka swasth nahi hai, to aapka dimag kahan se swasth hoga? So you need to keep yourself fit. You need to keep yourself healthy, right? And when we talk about health, it is physical health, it is mental health. So if you are involved in the process of sports, not only you become physically healthy, you become mentally healthy because you take care of your food habits also, So the need to integrate sports in the education is well recognized because it fosters holistic development, physical and psychological well-being, and it enhances the cognitive abilities. Your thinking abilities get enhanced. You think creatively. Your analytical approaches get enhanced. Your problem-solving approaches get enhanced. Now, with this particular thing, the other aspect which is related to holistic development is, learning outcomes. CBSE started mapping your teaching learning process with the learning outcome. Why? Because we want children to have some competency level after they pass out, every class. So when the child is passing standard 1 or standard 2 or standard 3, there should be some minimum competencies the child should have in the field, in mathematics, in the field of science, in the field of language. Now those are listed in learning outcome. The role of the teacher is to see that when they have the transaction throughout the year, these learning outcomes are mapped properly, and children will be able to get those competency based learning and education. So there will be a shift from rote memorization to competence based learning processes. The assessment tools. Now, currently, we are focusing more on assessment of learning by the year end of examination. Very less thrust has been put on assessment as learning. So, as you are going through the classroom transaction, how much you have learned, how is your learning journey, where are the learning gaps, the child comes to know about it at the year end examination, because major thrust is there. Here in this policy, it is said that the assessment tools will be regular, will be continuous, and will be aligned with the learning outcomes, capabilities, and disposition as specified for each subject for a given class. So that is where the assessment tools, and more focus will be on assessment as learning and assessment for learning than assessment of learning. Let's move ahead. So far we talked about NEP. Let's talk about holistic development. Where do we fit in? What kind of practices can be brought in the classroom? And for that we need to understand the child development processes. So the child development processes are engaged in 5 parameters: emotional development, cognitive development, language development, physical development, social development, right from foundational stage to preparatory stage to middle stage. The major thrust is on these development. So when I talk about emotional development, the child, the qualities of empathy, impulse control, self-regulation, persistence, resilience, self-confidence, and joy. Let the child has joy in each activity which he or she is doing. Cognitive development. So when we talk about cognitive development, the focus goes on scientific and mathematical thinking. Now when I say mathematical thinking, it is not restricted to doing only mathematical skills, fundamental operation of plus, minus, or addition, subtraction, or doing some algebraic sums. Rather, the focus is mathematization of the processes. Child should be able to break the problem into small pieces and analyze it, and critically observe it, analyze it, and then try to reach to a solution. So the problem solving aptitude, so creative and critical thinking abilities and problem solving skills, that is what will be more focused when we talk about cognitive development. Reasoning skills, literacy skills. When we talk about literacy skills, reading, listening, reading, writing, speaking, these are the skills. So when we talk about in a LSRW, so those skills are developed in phased manner in age appropriate way. Research and inquiry skills, independent thinking skills, and conceptual understanding. When we talk about cognitive development, language development, verbal and non-verbal form of communication. Child should be able to communicate verbally or non-verbally with others. So vocabulary, learning and interpreting sound. That is more focused when we talk about language development. So communication skills will be more thrust, in this particular process. Physical development, so gross motor skills, fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination, sensory capabilities. Then social development, so cooperation, negotiation, collaboration, socialization, rule formation, and conflict resolution. So when the child is growing from preschool to secondary stages, these development happen in phased manner. All these 5 stages are very well taken care when we talk about holistic development of the learner. And for that, what kind of things could be there? So social skills, emotional skills, early literacy, logical thinking, uh, spatial awareness, gross motor skills, aesthetic skills. These kind of activity, we have to have activities moving around all these development zone when we talk about holistic development of the learners. And for that, what kind of things we are doing? And this is not something new. If you look into your curriculum processes, believe me, you will find that you have all those things in place, right? We have community service. So many schools are having, what they called NSS wing, or they have what is called scout and guide activities. So they take the children out for community service. Even CBSE has made it mandatory through seva program. So community service, art education, music. So compulsorily art is integrated in your timetable, music is integrated in your timetable. Talent of the week, there are schools who are conducting some sort of activity to map the talent. So maybe during the course of what is called your assembly time, you are having quiz time, or there are some specific activities the schools are conducting to find out the talent in the week, talent during the week. And then they publicize this child of this class, and these activities are age appropriate activities. Dance, topic of the week, field trips, math lab activities, language lab activities, different club activities, inter-class competitions, first aid classes, experiential learning. Now, experiential learning, again, the topic seems to be something new, but many of the schools are already integrating that experiential learning, but maybe in a small process. But these activities are being conducted where the children have been given an opportunity to experience the learning process. Painting, these all activities we are doing in our school, and these are very well embedded in our timetable, so that children get all these processes of holistic development in these areas of cognitive development, social development, emotional development, or language development. So these all activities are happening over there. Now, when we move from holistic development, then the another aspect where NEP has focused on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning, and preparing the students for year-end examination. So here, if we talk about conceptual understanding, I divide it into 3 circles: concepts, content, and skill. Content, we call it declarative knowledge about something, right? So if and skills are procedural knowledge of something. You have knowledge of something and knowledge about something. So content is trying to find out, trying to know about some aspect, and skill, you have the prior knowledge of it. Then concept is conceptual knowledge. So when we talk about conceptual understanding, means all these forms of knowledge should work collaboratively so that students manage to interrelate concepts with content and skill. So अगर आप कंटेंट स्किल और कॉन्सेप्ट इन सबको साथ में लेकर चलेंगे, सो दैट मीन्स व्हेन you club knowledge of something with knowledge about something, so you using knowledge of some concept to know more about something, then your conceptual knowledge starts gaining, they become firm on that process. Let me have further more on this. Students can understand next, yes, students can understand skill and knowledge better if they can apply them to real world situation. They can impact real world situation with a conceptual understanding of their skills and knowledge. So they have some knowledge and skills. Through the concept, they are trying to relate with the real world situation. Now here, knowledge and skill means you have knowledge of something. Through the journey of the concept, you are trying to find out knowledge of real life situation, real world situation. So your conceptual understanding becomes firm, right? So students can understand skill and knowledge better if they apply them to real world situation. That is where the conceptual understanding becomes clear. Next. Yeah. So it may be easier to understand concept-based learning when you contrast it to the topic-based learning, right? Now, for example, you are teaching the students World War II. Now, if you try to debate on the topic World War II versus concept of conflict, what is the concept of conflict? Why the conflict has come, has arisen? So that means if you are talking about what happened, when happened, why happened, how it is happened, then the concept clarity starts coming in. So we are talking about focusing on 5 W's and 1 H. So the difference is learning about World War topic and concept of conflict, or maybe Shakespeare Hamlet versus exploring relationship and decision making. So you are teaching in the classroom Shakespeare Hamlet, but you ask the student to explore or debate on exploring relationship and decision making, whether the decision taken by the character is right or wrong. If it is right, why? If it is wrong, why? Where, when, right? So you're talking about mathematical equation, address the skill and knowledge, understanding how the equation can be used in real situation and to solve new problems, demonstrate the conceptual understanding. So, you are teaching addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, that is fine, but how these things are getting. So I am giving my child a 100 rupee note and I'm asking the child to, get me some biscuits, maybe Britannia biscuits, 2 packets of Britannia biscuit. Whether my child is able to transact of that addition, subtraction in the, in the market or not. So in the real life situation, that is where the concept clarity starts coming in. If I'm able to relate it to the banking process, my child will be able to understand the process of interest, process of addition, subtraction, mathematical calculation, commercial mathematics. All these concepts will start coming in, right? So you can create. Now there are few schools who have created, a bookstore in the school campus run by the students, for the students only. Now the mathematical ability and the communication skills are going hand in hand. Children are able to understand. The critical thinking abilities are also getting enhanced. So students should be encouraged to pose different questions, keeping in mind Factual questions indicated the activation of lower order thinking skills. Believe me, when we are talking about conceptual understanding and we are moving away from rote memorization processes, we are focusing on revised Bloom's taxonomy, right from remembering, understanding, application, analyzing, evaluation, and creation. So low order thinking skill to high order thinking skill. So if the child is taking that journey through the different question processes, that inquiry based processes, then the conceptual understanding becomes more and more clear. So factual questions indicate activation of lower order thinking skills. So remembering, understanding, and from there go to higher order thinking skills such as analysis, evaluation, and creation. So conceptual questions are generated as students dig deeper. The teacher become a facilitator in helping the child to dig more and more deep. So the concept map or debatable questions or mind map in the classroom, there are few ideas. You float few ideas in the classroom related to the concept. Let the children try to find out which idea is related to what concept. Let them dig deeper. That makes the child clear in their understanding of the concepts. Moving ahead, next please. So when we talk about curriculum development and moving away from rote memorization to conceptual clarity, the other aspect which comes here is critical and creative thinking, right? So the curriculum content will be reduced in each subject to its core essential to make space for critical thinking and more holistic, inquiry-based, discovery-based, discussion-based, and analysis-based learning. That is where the question of conceptual clarity comes. Child will be able to experience that learning. So experiential learning, art integrated learning, sports integrated learning, storytelling processes, that will come in this aspect where the child's critical thinking ability will get enhanced. The mandated content mandated means the essential key content will focus on key concept, ideas, applications, and problem solving. Teaching learning will be conducted in more interactive manner. Questions will be encouraged and classroom sessions will regularly contain more fun. So here, teacher's role will be to encourage the students to ask questions rather than rather than posing the questions before the students. So the ability of the teacher will be tested on how the teacher will be able to create that environment in the classroom where children will ask questions, right? Abhi hamara teaching learning process kya hai? That we try to teach in a way where all the answers of questions given in the last page of the book are being answered. This is what is the current teaching learning process. The process which will be recommended in NEP is let the child explore and try to find out the answers of those questions by posing set of questions which teacher will help the child to create, right? So that will happen in a collaborative way, in a creative way, and exploratory way, right? Emphasis will be made on coding, mathematical, and computational thinking to encourage logical decision making and innovation amongst students. That is what NEP is talking about in its curriculum and pedagogy in schools. Further to it, the important aspect is कि ये अभी तक हम सिर्फ cognitive development की बात कर रहे हैं. We are talking about how the cognitive development will happen. We spoke about conceptual understanding. We spoke about moving away from rote memorization. We spoke about exploratory approaches, art integrated approaches, storytelling approaches. But the question here is, we are talking about the holistic development. We are talking about character building, in the children. How we are going to do that? For that, it is the things have been placed. The ethics and human and constitutional values like empathy, respect for others, cleanliness, courtesy, democratic spirit, spirit of service, respect for public property, scientific temperament, liberty, responsibility, pluralism, equality, and justice shall be embedded in the school activities. I'm uh, if you remember the slide which I show on the holistic development, where we are conducting certain activities. We are conducting some activities related to, sir, can you go a little behind in the previous slides? Yes, this slide. So when we are talking about community service, when we are talking about art integration, when we are talking about much of the activities towards empathy, towards cleanliness, towards courtesy, towards democratic spirit, are being covered in these kind of activities. When we have social science week, when we celebrate language week, when we celebrate mathematical week or science and technology week, or when we talk about art week, when we celebrate all these weeks, the activities are focusing on such kind of things. Besides this, you know, the drive has been taken where preamble of the constitution is being given on the very first page of NCERT book. But we are so much engrossed in our teaching learning process that we read that preamble, nor we allow the students to read that preamble. Now it will be very well integrated in your teaching learning process. Let you spend, keep some time where the preamble of constitution will be there. Your student parliament is going to play an important aspect. Every school has a school counseling body, student counseling body. Let the student counseling body will be involved in the process to make them more responsible. Let it not remain on the paper that we have a student counseling. Rather, we have other activities. Sir, please move ahead and come back to ethics and ethics and human constitution. Yes, little more. Yes, here. No, little back. So we are talking about these kind of activities. Environmental awareness. Now, you don't require any special day for having environment awareness program. It can be very well embedded in the teaching learning process when you are teaching EVS to the students. Now, when we are talking about EVS, environmental sciences we are talking about, right? So environmental sciences, when we are talking about water and resource conservation, sanitation, hygiene. Let the students be allowed to go to meet the municipal authorities or to the chairman of their resident welfare associations, or to their, or maybe at their home, if you are having individual house kind system, and try to find out how much water do we really use and how much really water do we require. Let them try to find out how much water are we really wasting in that, right? Sanitation and hygiene processes. Coronavirus has given us an opportunity to look into the sanitation and hygiene processes so that we remain healthy and safe in that environment. Knowledge of India. India is very vast in its tradition and culture. Many languages are being taught, and there are some classical languages, Sanskrit, Tamil, Malayalam. There are classical languages which are being spoken and taught in respective states. A child sitting in Bombay or child sitting in Delhi, why not that particular child take advantage of this and try to know more about India and its rich and varied culture? So Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat activity. Now such kind of programs will be promoted where through exchange, cultural exchange programs, through exchange of ideas, through exchange of resources, the kind of knowledge of India will be, promulgated amongst the students. So current affairs and knowledge of critical issues facing local communities, states, country, and world shall be regularly featured in school activities, right? Expression series on the contribution made by social workers or renowned people is there, or maybe art integrated teaching learning process, art integration, that will also be coming into this particular aspect. Enhanced community participation will further strengthen these programs on constitutional values, ethics, and moral reasoning. And all these things are very well placed. Many of our schools are already conducting these activities. Only thing is now we have to do with a conscious effort to make our children aware about ethics, human and constitutional values. Thank you very much for being with me and listening to me on this curriculum and pedagogy in school. I believe that I'm able to reach to you and giving you an insight how curriculum and pedagogy in schools in national education policy will be implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rajiv sir. Thank you so much. It was so nostalgic to hear you after so long. May I request Dr. Bindu to kind of post few questions before Rajiv sir? The questions can be seen from the chat box. There are quite a few participants who wanted to hear more and more from Rajiv sir. So over to Bindu ma'am. Please, Bindu ma'am, please share a few questions from the chat box.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rajiv Kumar sir. It was so exciting and so informative and enriching. Thank you so much for that session.
Thank you.
And the questions, there are some questions in the 4 or 5 questions are there. Mr. Shailesh has asked, what is the new textbook that will be introduced to the students under NEP? And the same question was asked by James Verghese also. Will the textbook be the same to integrate all these things, or will there be any change in the textbooks to integrate at what you have said in the curriculum?
Yeah, ma'am. See, as I said, the content in the curriculum will be reduced, number one, and it will be giving more exposure to the students in terms of exploring the content, right? So with that particular attitude, there will be definitely there will be new content which is coming in. So books will be rewritten. Once the national curriculum framework is ready, then the books will be made ready accordingly and it will come. Till that time, whatever content that we are having, we need to use our skills as teachers. You know, we need to use our skills to help the students to explore that content and give them experiential learning in the process.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, can I Kajal ma'am now to ask one question at least from the chat box?
Yes, good evening, Rajiv sir.
Very good evening, ma'am.
Yes, this question is by Miss Beena. As India is the land of diverse culture, so how to include mother tongue approach in the curriculum, and when we have students from different culture in the same class itself? Yes. So it will be a big problem.
See, ma'am, the thing is, if Beena ma'am has seen the 2nd February's program where you know, Swati ma'am has very nicely given that kind of process. You know, as a teacher, I am aware that what kind of diversity, linguistic diversity I am having in my class, right? So there are very specifically at the primary level, let me talk about. So I can place certain important sentences in all the languages through a chart in in my classroom board, where children will refer to that particular chart and they will appreciate that cultural diversity, linguistic diversity in their in their classroom. This is one aspect. However, there are few things where we need to follow, because education is a concurrent subject. Here, every state has got its own rule in terms of one tongue, one mother tongue. You know, like we are in Maharashtra. So here in Maharashtra, Marathi is one compulsory language that we need to take up. NEP says that there is a 3-language formula. Now, in this 3-language formula, 2 languages should be taken from Indian language aspect, right? 2 languages from Indian aspect, and 3rd language could be a foreign language, because there are students who would like to take French, those who would like to take Germany also. So they have given that particular scope. Besides this, as I said, India's knowledge base is very strong, and if you see, much of our language, much of our knowledge is hidden in our Vedas, which is written in our classical language, Sanskrit or Tamil or Uriya. So promotion of that classical language will also be taken into consideration in the teaching learning process. So schools will be asked to promote one classical language also amongst the students, not as a subject, but learning the language to know the culture of, or the know the values of, or the traditions of rich Indian heritage. So that is going to happen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I request Bindu ma'am actually to share few best practices to implement 10 bagless days, because that is also one of those aspects. So
Yes.
could possibly share as to what is the practice that she follows in her school or what she promotes. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Jayashree ma'am. I would like to talk about some of the best practices which I have implemented in my school. NEP 2020 suggests that all students should have 10 bagless days every year from classes 6 to 8. Some activities which can be considered for 10 bagless days are, which I'm going to talk about now. And that can be even for the classes 1 to 12 also, schools can decide upon that. So vocational courses can be any fun course. So the first part is a vocational course. For this 10 bagless days, I am just going to give some points and I'll be elaborating that also. So first one is the vocational courses. So that vocational crafts or courses, that can be any fun course like carpentry, electric work, gardening, pottery making, jewelry making, book binding, photography, and painting, auditing, cutting, tailoring, and learning basic skills in cooking. We can even connect with industries so that they will be able to complete the course and they will get a certification. Students will get the certification. If the schools are not in a position to find out the teachers, the students can learn online also. And internship is the next point. Internship with the local carpenters, gardeners, potters, artists, etc. So this is what is given in the NEP. So what I suggest that they can even take the help of those people who are associated with the schools, like electricians. Schools will have their own electricians and plumbers, photographers, bookbinders, librarian, cook, gardener, painters, auditors, etc. So why can't we make use of them? That is the second point, internship and getting training from them. And workshop is the third point. So 10 bagless days means students come to school without bag and they should be fun and they should be learning. So workshops on theater and handwriting or any other personality development, that I would suggest, and students can learn about rainwater harvesting, making solar panels, biogas, vermicomposting with food waste, everything they can learn in this 10 bagless days. Workshops and leadership training camps can be provided by the students to the underprivileged children also. So they can make use of the 10 bagless in a beautiful, in a fruitful manner. And enrichment activities, the next heading. And under that comes the school art fest and the school quizzes, sports meet, talent test, melas, organizing reading week, sports events, and involving students of CWSN or underprivileged children. We can always have an inclusive sports day and art fest, etc. And even we can tap the machine learning, coding, artificial intelligence, which had already been discussed in NEP. So we can have workshops and the children can make robots and they can make so many apps or portals or anything that can make in those 10 bagless days. Another area which I want to talk about is the visit. Students can go to places, monuments of historical, cultural and tourist importance. They can meet local artists, craftsmen, professionals, etc. Heritage walks and interviewing local people, visit to villages and forests, everything can be organized very well. So this will not at all tamper the academics or curriculum part also. Collaboration is the another heading. So with other education institutions and NGOs we can have. So for the need-based community activities, like we can have organized cleanliness drive like Swachh Bharat and help to old age homes or orphanages, tribal societies, hemophilic society, autistic children, Alzheimer's or palliative care centers. We can actually have community development program or value enriched programs also. Agriculture is another area. Anyway, NEP talks about organic farming and gardening so that we can have during this 10 bagless days. Farming we can have, so school can even take some land as lease and then involve the children in each step like planting the crop, plowing and watering and harvesting. So students would really enjoy, but at the same time, they would learn the dignity of labor and farming also. And eco club activities, many clubs can be formed in the school, and in the eco club students can have organic vegetable cultivation and tree plantation drive, producing eco-friendly products like paper bag, paper pen, cloth bag, cloth sanitary napkins, LED tubes, mosquito net stand, and students can sell it also. There can be an auction in the school, so that again would be fun, but at the same time they will learn many financial literacy skills also. Activities like Parents' Day, Grandparents' Day for primary classes, other performance, everything the students can also organize in the school with the help of the teachers. And even we can have a Speak Mac chapter in the school, mock UN, we can have organized exhibitions. Various exhibitions can be organized like books, science, math, art, craft, painting, philately, coins, robotic, traditional utensils, or agricultural equipments or cooking show. Everything can be organized very well with the help of the students can take up the leadership. And many awareness campaigns also can be organized in connection with the different days like anti-drug abuse, and street plays can also be planned, child labor, girl safety, environment protection, health issues, and all this also can be organized by the children in the school during this 10 bagless days. These are some of the best practice I'd like to suggest. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Bindu ma'am. I think it was a breathless presentation because I think paucity of time makes us kind of rush. And I almost saw all participants making note of it only very, very furiously. So to all the participants, we are going to request Bindu ma'am and Kajal ma'am to post the best practices that is getting shared on the PDF, on Facebook, as well as Zoom. Thank you so much, Bindu ma'am. May I request ma'am now to kind of share the best practices?
Yeah.
To inculcate the 21st century learner or a 21st century skills among the students.
Happy evening to one and all. Thank you to all the wonderful leaders, teachers, our respective speaker for the day, Rajiv sir, everybody who is present today. Thank you so much. And even those who are watching us live from Facebook, we can see 4,000 people there and over 1,000 people over here. So I'm going to share certain, 21st century skills which are needed, and we term it as the success key for our students. Okay. So that is required in their school, work, and life. Here are some of the best practices to instill these skills. So first area, we are coming to communication, creativity, collaboration, and imagination. So we have named it School is Cool. Okay. So various hobbies can be offered to students as part of SUPW. So students, from grade 1 to 9, they can have consecutive periods can be allotted to these classes, and students, irrespective of their classes, will will sit together in a particular hobby class, depending upon the student of this, depending upon their strength and interest. So maybe standard 2 to 5, and then it can be 6 to 10. They can have these classes based on yoga, drawing and painting, music, dance, debate, drama, craft, science, math, eco labs, fashion designing, etc. So students, can be given an option, opt for a diploma certificate in some of these hobbies like dance, music, instrumental music, fashion designing, along with studies by the time they finish standard 10th. So this will be an added, advantage for our students. So now we are coming to assembly activities, how we can inculcate 21st century skills in our assemblies. So students class-wise, they can take turns, can be asked to plan and design assembly activities. And from Monday to Thursday, respectively, a variety of activities, different activities on different days should be planned based on the topics. And then weekly activity periods, we can throughout the years of the student, like again from, it can go from grade 1 to 12. So solo and group competitions or presentation by students can be planned on activities like, again, we have these performing art areas. So every student must participate in minimum 2 activities on stage and 2 activities off stage, like essay, poem writing, etc., depending upon the academic areas which we follow in the school. And now coming to team teaching by students, flipped classroom, blended learning, which we are already following. So small team, may it be 3 to 4 students, we can ask to teach a lesson or a topic from various subjects every academic year. Like every group will get 1 lesson at least. So thereby involving all students in the class in the collaborative project. Okay, it can be a design thinking project as well. So now coming to critical and logical thinking, running of a school post COVID-19. This every school can practice under design thinking project. Like once we are back in school, our students can be asked to prepare a complete model right from entry to exit. Students can prepare the complete SOPs, how the school will function, how the seating will be done, and how these examination with all proper safety and security, we can plan it out. And we know it, like when we give any task to our students, they come up with brilliant ideas. Now coming to citizenship, skills. So partnering with and supporting local NGOs and national level NGOs, participating in programs like Adult Literacy Mission, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, sir has already covered, Rajiv sir, Ek Bharat, Shreshth Bharat, village adoption program, timely help to people like students who need the most, deprived students, old age home. So we can assign a task to our students, and it can be termed it as an annual project for them under developing citizenship. So participating in scouts and guides, NCC, and traffic control duty around school before and after school hours. So children's movement for civic awareness, that comes CMCA, is an organization which can help in long way in inculcating citizenship skills. So all these activities can be planned during Saturdays for 2 to 3 hours. So some resources I'm sharing, and thanks for resources, especially thanks to Vijayam ma'am. So Project Zero is a research center, Harvard University, founded in 1967, that explores topic in education such as deep thinking, understanding intelligence, creativity and ethics. It has great ideas for our classrooms. Okay. And children's movement for civic awareness. So I'm just sharing you the titles which you can further go and do research on it. Design for Change is another, you can just type it, designforchangeindia.com. So you will get to know much more about it. So here are some of the practices which we can practice in our school to work on curriculum and pedagogy and instill 21st century skills in our students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kajal ma'am. Thank you, Rajiv sir. We are indeed indebted for your time today. I request all the participants to fill up the feedback form posted on the chat box. Please note that the attendance and the feedback of minimum 5 webinars of the series remains compulsory if you wish to get your certificate. A small reminder to our valuable audience today, please don't miss out on our next session by Miss Srividya Mauli, Principal of TVS Academy, Hosur, Tamil Nadu, on curriculum integration of essential subjects and skills. and transforming assessment for student development. Stay tuned to be part of yet another enriching event on Tuesday, 9th of February. I request Shah Jahan sir now to share his concluding remarks and also propose a vote of thanks. Over to Shah Jahan sir.
Good evening, everyone. Our guest and our speaker of today, Mr. Rajiv Kumar Dhar, and our moderator, Mrs. Jayashree Venkataraman. She's the Zonal Director of Pune, Dr. Bindu, and Dr. Kajal Chatja, and our Zonal Directors, Dr. Srisan, Dr. Mishra, Dr. Vijay Karthamam, Deepamam, and all CR directors and zonal directors, premium members and other members. Now, this is the second session of our NEP 20 series of webinars. We have completed that second series now out of 8 sessions. This today is, as you are aware, that curriculum and pedagogy in schools, that the reconstructing of the school curriculum and pedagogy in new design and holistic development. This was the subject excellent in a very nice way, in a simple way. Mr. Rajiv Kumar Dhar, that he presented that one. Anyhow, it's an excellent way that we are expecting to do a lot of other things. This year's activities, as you are fully aware, that we are doing a lot of things fully for the development of our education system in India, apart with the education system outside, it means abroad. That's what we are trying for. And we have started within this short period that we did a lot of achievement. And we reached, or we traveled a lot and got reputation from everyone, from everywhere. And we have got roots in India and abroad. The real purpose of the program, talking about today's program or the NEP, that we wanted to give a full awareness to all stakeholders of education in India and abroad. A lot of programs related to NEP is available and was going on in various channels and various media. I feel this is the first instance that we organized a systematic NEP analysis program in 8 sessions, through which the most of the points are being discussed. The participants of 5 sessions that will be awarded with certificates of participation. These courses are having its own value. Don't forget that the CAR are doing all these things as a commitment to the society, as a social commitment. We are not charging anything. That, of course, it is valuable information, valuable sessions that we are going with. However, as I mentioned, as a social commitment, we are doing all these kinds of things. People should, I wanted everyone should realize this point. We are getting encouragement from CBSE and the educators from home and abroad. That's another interesting thing. These are the things which is it means helping us to go forward. That's the encouragement that we are getting from various sides. We have got a lot of programs ahead, including that we want to select, it means the best schools, such kind of, that's not a competition. We wanted to choose and encourage such schools. That's one way that will be announced soon, that all schools, it means all Indian schools, India and abroad, will be considered and they can participate. They are getting golden opportunity to prove their place. Then another thing that we are doing, that handwriting. That handwriting is important for everyone, and the CAR is giving. As I mentioned, we wanted to encourage all fields and everywhere for the good of the children and good of the schools. As a part of that, we recommend that the Veda, the computer lab, and a lot of sessions already that we have. That means it was done. Dr. Srisan, the director of that Veda, he was supporting and he was doing good for. Did the service to the children, and we are getting the CAIR is getting appreciation from various points. I'm thankful to all those who are participating with us. And other thing, we are another thing. Now I am coming to my point or my duty. I really appreciate the words or the presentation of our it means presentation of today. That's an excellent. In addition, that the speakers and other speakers, because regarding the Rajiv Kumar sir's speech, I have no comments other than excellent presentation. I'm not going deeply in the contents which we have gone through, and your session gave us ideas and guidelines to face new system of NEP. I express sincere thanks and gratitude to you and for your kindness to attend this session and give us guidelines. And today's moderator and the zonal director of Pune region, Mrs. Jayashree Venkataraman, her excellent presentation and participation. I must appreciate her for her sincere effort. And I know that she was preparing for the last 2-3 days. And anyhow, it's an excellent presentation, and she did very well. And I thank you. She's also one of the members of our CAR family. So I feel that she is not deserving any appreciation. She's doing her. She was performing her duty. Anyhow, again, I must say thanks to her. The CAR members are there. Dr. Bindu, the board of director, and Kajal Chatija ma'am. I appreciate, really, I wonder. It means their presentation, even though it means that ideas which they express, the points which they raise, that Bindu ma'am mentioned the 3 points she recommended, and both of them given us the possible activities that can be done by the children at schools. Excellent, excellent. I appreciate. I have no words to say. It's an excellent. Now, with your proposals, with your experience, that today's session became full in all sense. Anyhow, I appreciate both of you, and I want to say thanks to Vijayam Karthama. She is the designer of this program for 8 sessions. Really, I have no words. I have already given her appreciation on many occasions. Even now, on behalf of the CEAR family, that I express once again our appreciation and thanks to Vijay Karthama. Dr. Sreesan, I have no words to tell. Not only thanks, but just like, I don't know, a man with a social responsibility is doing a lot from the focal point. I appreciate Dr. Sreesan and the other zonal directors. And then I have already, it means the board of directors are there, our zonal directors are there, our premium members are there, our all other type of the principals and managers who participated here, Mr. Asab, Deepa ma'am, and Suresh sir, and all other it means the persons involved in the CEAR with full dedication. I say thanks to all of you, and I left that the viewers in the Facebook with the limited this thing that we have extended to the Facebook also. A lot, nearly about more than 2,000, 3,000 registered, and most of them participated, I feel. However, we will continue this kind of service for the goodness of our children and goodness of our institutions. I wish you all once again, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Jayashree
sir.
ma'am, you can make the final.
Yes,
Thank you
so much.
You can make the
everyone.
final
I
conclusion, ma'am.
think, our mission, NEP Masterclass, is accomplished. First 2 sessions. We look forward to many more participants joining in, the new participants joining in for our next session on 9th of February by Ms. Srividya Mauling. Thank you so much for being a lovely audience. Thank you so much.
Shall we leave?
Yes, we can leave.
Anything else, Sreesan? Otherwise,
We shall
we
Yes,
leave, ma'am.
I think
We shall
yeah.
leave, ma'am.
Yeah.
They all left, I think.
Many
you,
are there.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kajal. Thank you, Bindu. Thank you,
Thank
Jayashree.
you, ma'am.
Did a wonderful job. All of you.
Yes,
did a
Jayashree ma'am, it was superb.
wonderful-
Yes.
And Rajiv sir was
Hang on.
good. Yeah, very good. Okay, see you.